So good evening and thank you for giving us time to speak to Dalit camera.
Okay, nice. Thank you.
Yeah, sir, you have been a chief secretary in Tamil Nadu government, and you have been for longest serving civil bureaucrat in Tamil Nadu.
About 35 years.
Around 35 years. That's a great service to have, and a lot of information you must have and experience. So in this context, what I would like to ask you is, uh, in relation to caste in Tamil Nadu. I find caste in Tamil Nadu is very different from like any other states. Every state is different in operation. So in Tamil Nadu there are, apart from many castes, though there are many castes, we can club it into three major castes. One is Devendarkulathar and Adi Dravidas and Arundhadiyas. So Arundhadiyas, largely according to Thurston's record, it says that they were tanners and leather workers, and then they engaged into sanitary work. And then Adi Dravidas as a drum beaters for the dead and work in the burial ground. So they were considered as untouchables because of the dirty work. And Gandhi also says that why you're treated as untouchable, Harijans, because you do unclean work, you don't so unclean work, and then you don't take a bath, you have alcoholic behavior, so many things he says for the reason for treating somebody as an untouchable in Hindu ritual. So interestingly, Devendarkulathar, even in the records, it says that they were farmers, they were agricultural laborers. So how did they become untouchables? And this is one community I find in India as a unique community, starting from the Meenakshipuram conversion to Islam. And then so many things are there with this enriched, rich community with a lot of assertiveness and also the ongoing debate on reservation. So before going to all of those things, could you take us why Devendarkulathars are given a scheduled caste status?
First of all, I will insist that there should be a reorientation to the concept of caste in India. This business of calling scheduled castes as castemen is entirely wrong. There are only two demographies, the two divisions in Indian demography I find. One belongs to the caste and the other who don't belong to the caste. The scheduled castes of this country are those who refused to be drawn into the caste structure. So therefore, they kept themselves away from this so-called invidious caste structure.
You mean that outcasts? Caste and outcast. Can I say that? Or?
That's a very, see, the use of terminologies lead to a lot of long assumptions and presumptions. It is not the obnoxious fellows who created the caste system who threw me out of that house. Nobody ejected me from anywhere. I had such a high standard of humanity in me that I wouldn't accept this caste system. Therefore, I remained away from the caste system. I was not casted out by somebody. I only kept them away. This should be the understanding. So if this understanding comes into us, these scheduled castes, obviously the scheduled tribes, nobody calls scheduled tribes a caste. They are not part of the caste system. Everybody knows that, everybody accepts that also. But when it comes to scheduled caste, the people are trying to kind of introduce lot of ambiguity and misinterpretations, so that, like these so-called Hindutva fellows who have their own kind of greedy notions to herd the SCs into this Hinduism for their own ultimate purposes, people keep saying that they are caste. And that is why the feeling amongst the scheduled caste people, that they are kept low in the hierarchy of caste. They are nowhere in the hierarchy of the caste. Varnas are after all four. I am not there. Even by the own interpretation of the creators of Varna, I was not there.
So in your narration you have 2 points. One point you're saying that the way we have to understand caste. That is, we have to understand.
So-called scheduled class people here.
Yeah, okay. Now
Caste is very much there.
Yeah.
Caste is very much there. What I am saying and what I want all people to imbibe and understand is that don't try to put scheduled castes in the framework of caste and say that they are lowly in the caste. They are the low caste, somebody is higher caste, somebody is dominant caste, and somebody is something. So therefore that is where the trouble comes.
okay, this understanding where do you get from? For an example, when people say that we are put as an untouchables, we are treated as an untouchables, they
Nobody
argue.
can treat anybody as
They
untouchable.
argue.
That's a different day. I also don't contribute myself to somebody else treating me as an untouchable. Unless I submit myself to humiliation, there is nobody on earth who can humiliate me.
So
who
you
can treat me as an untouchable.
So you mean that
untouchability, if we talk of untouchability as somebody being kept away from somebody, even within a Brahmin's family, the girl that is menstruating is kept away for days together. They don't say that that is untouchability. And this interpretation, again, I wish that people revisit the villages again. There is a scheduled caste, let us say a scheduled habitat. And there is somebody else's habitat. It is on one side, it is on the other side. Which is away from the other? Which is the center and which is the margin? You go and visit any AC villages, you will find that AC is on the heart of the habitation. Only the Agraharam were at the fringe of the habitation, any habitation for that matter. You don't call an Agraharam as a cherry or something that is kept away from the mainstream village. How come people say that the so-called Agraharam is the mainstream village and my habitation is a kind of an excluded place? That's not the reality also. So, but unfortunately, in the literature of ASCs, in the literature of the social scenario in India, and also by people from outside, everybody started saying that we have these two dichotomies in the villages, and one is superior and the other is inferior. Every community for that matter, they have their own segregated habitation. A Mudaliar has his own place, their own street, a Reddyar has his own street. Similarly, a Paraiyar has his own street, a Padar has his own street.
So one thing is, for example, even if I think, if I call the city space, for an example, like Coimbatore city, which I am very familiar of, I find that it is not about where it is located, it also the availability of amenities. For an example, the colonies, the cherries do not have water, drainage, and minimum amenities not available. But even if you say that they are not in the margin, they are in the center, they don't have these amenities accessible to the government facilities and also the schools. But at the same time, if you find the caste Hindus, that is which I say, or caste, upper caste, or caste Hindus I call.
There is no upper caste, please don't entertain these terminologies of
upper so
caste.
I call caste Hindus.
Kind of dominant caste and all that.
Yeah, so there
they
is
say that they are all caste men.
Yeah, so all the castes are there somewhere.
Your description also, your description, whereby you mean that only even in urban agglomerations,
I'm talking about
only places where ACs live or have very inferior infrastructure.
Yeah.
It may not be true. A slum is a slum.
Yeah.
A slum contains all kinds of people, not just ACs alone. Then
No,
also
I'm
we have
talking
to
about
appreciate the
Coimbatore,
fact.
for example.
And then you may find examples, but on the other side of it,
Even in
you
villages.
can turn the camera and see these 19-story buildings here.
Oh, this is
You
government
can't find a
service.
more sophisticated place than this Taisha complex.
But this is not
There
in
is
the
a more than
country.
proportionate ACs living here.
Yeah, but this is a
That doesn't,
government service.
therefore, while looking at communities in India, you should always take it for granted that it is not communities are not defined by a single kind of characteristics. The one community is wholly illiterate, idiotic, they are no men of letters. The other community is full of letters. There is no such community where you can bracket them into one single compartment.
So,
If you,
yeah.
there are lots of the kind of what should I say? These things are in the public forum. Brahmin is an educated community.
So the important thing is Dalit literatures have been writing about this, recording the history is. For example, in a village, from your narration, I'm taking 2 points to ask you to explain more. One, in a village, they say the major part of the village, the heart of the village, like the bus stops or even the bus starting point or the ration shops or the kirana shops, all these shops, vegetable shops, all the shops are centered in the Caste and Untouchability village, even the primary schools, and then the Dalit bastis are there. So when Dalit, this is one thing. So this is how the thing is there between the two different things.
There must be
and then
there
they,
must be
this is one point. The other point is,
these are all these
this
things
can
are
be
being
contested.
talked about, but nobody takes account of the current scenario at least.
So
You can't find any village, any habitation for that matter today, for example in Tamil Nadu, where you will not find a ration shop. Everybody has a ration shop.
You mean even
every
in
two streets has a ration shop.
So you mean ration shops are there even in the Dalit place?
Everywhere.
Okay. So
and
I would
talking of schools,
I would cross check that one.
You can check that.
I would cross check that.
I don't know why people are still talking about these things.
So one is that. The other point which I want to ask you to explain is, for an example, the two different things are there. Two different set of people are there in a village. I'm not using even caste. One is caste and the one is the Dalits. I would say they are there, but the caste Hindus have the accessibility to access. For example, when Dalits are not ready to, not allowed to walk in the footpath, common footpath which is there. So
these situations will.
So both are not same. I mean to say.
These situations will have to be revisited.
You mean it was there? It is not there now.
It was also not there. It is also not there today. It was there in the past. It's also there in the present. But it is not. I am saying, you don't generalize things to all AC habitations.
So give me one village which you, in your
go to
opinion,
any.
You give me one village, a model village which you say ration shop is there.
You can go to any.
Give me one village.
I'll tell you. See, SC habitations in Tamil Nadu, there are two types. One where only SCs are predominant people, majority people, or exclusive people. There are thousands and thousands of such villages all over. You take this Vatapidaram union in Thuthukudi, out of 40 odd panchayat presidents, 36 presidents are panchayat are SC. You go to any village there in Vatapidaram, you go to Akkanayaganpatti, you go to Thalavayapuram, you go to the place from where what is that place? The place from where Asirvadam comes from, and almost all villages there, 100% only SC, 100% parlour store. You don't say that these habitations don't have roads, this and that.
This is fine.
And maybe 30-40 years back, an SC habitation, like any other habitation in India, would not have had a road, would not have electricity,
That
would
is
not
not-
have had running water. That was an overall scenario affecting any village for that matter.
So okay,
Now,
I'll visit
all
this.
villages get these infrastructure, number one. But in these places, I don't think you would have ever heard of any instance of any SC not being allowed to walk in the streets.
But because this is all Pallar Street, other caste Hindus also there?
That's what I am saying. So there are habitations where this is one type of habitation.
That is exclusive
And
Dalits.
majority or exclusive,
Okay.
right? Where SCs are in majority, these types of things had never taken place. I
Yeah,
should
because
say.
they are majority.
You're right. They are there. They are also scheduled castes of the same community. And there are places where the SCs live in minority. That is where they come to suffer these kind of, what should I say, discriminatory kind of things, because that is the caste mind that is coming into play there.
So-
because they have they have a kind of, they can freelance there. The number of the other SCs is so minimal, so the caste mind shows its vehemence there.
So,
So this is the demography. We
in
have to define
Ottapadaram,
this.
so you bring two arguments. One argument is about Ottapadaram. I have some doubts, so I will certainly visit this place. In Ottapadaram, are there Arundhadiyas or Adi Dravidas?
Everybody is there.
So majority or Devendarkulathar?
Majority there. In southern districts, Pallas
So,
will be majority.
So
But
how
they
about
still have,
there is-
Arundhadiyas are there everywhere.
So are there untouchable practices between? According to you, there is no untouchable practice between the three communities in
According to
Ottapadaram.
our constitution, you should understand that untouchability has been abolished.
Yeah.
But there will be discriminatory practices anywhere.
So in Ottapadaram,
Discriminatory practices can take place on any community for that matter, not just SCs alone. Why not we acknowledge this fact? Sabarimala phenomena is not about SCs alone. But still that is an untouchability on women. But we don't use the term untouchability, we only say discrimination.
so
When my constitution says untouchability has been abolished, why do I pitch upon this word? Why not just say it is discrimination? It is the caste vehemence that is operating today.
so
How will you define an untouchability?
so according to you, can we define between untouchability and discrimination?
As of now, as a evolved scheduled caste, and a person having so much of a strength in the solidarity of the community, in the growth of this community as on date, I will not resort to this use of word untouchability.
It's discrimination.
Maybe I will say that it is. I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that I will not acknowledge the prevalence of caste. Caste is very much there. It's a deadly virus is there. But I am saying all things that happening to me, and this will happen, they are unwarranted aggressions on me by the caste-minded fellows who are not able to tolerate my individual existence away from this caste structure. Day in and day out, all kinds of forces, Hindutva forces, even Christian forces, they are trying to drag me into this caste structure, which I refuse to. This is the kind of what should I say? This is the sovereign kind of a freedom that I have been enjoying all these years, all these 2000 years. This particular aspect is not being recognized even by scheduled caste. All these 2000 years, I don't say that I suffered untouchability. These 2000 years, you don't say that I've been thrown out of the mainstream.
So you were not thrown, it was a voluntary
I've
retirement.
been existing away from these influences.
So
They could not, if untouchability is such a dastardly and draconian thing, how come for 2000 long years the community which is supposed to be victims of this could have survived?
So how did the slavery survive?
They would have been dead and gone
So
long
how
time
did the
back.
slavery survive?
Because-
How did patriarchy survive?
Huh?
How did the slavery survive and how did patriarchy survive?
There is no slavery today.
Yeah, but how
There
did
is
it
no
survive?
then apartheid.
It came out after a long protest, a big massive revolution which took place in the US and
So
industrial
therefore, you
revolution.
don't say that
It's also industrial revolution.
South Africa was suffering apartheid for 2 million
Until 1990s.
2 millennium years.
Until
it was
1990s,
it was a temporary phenomena. It's a very small period of interregnum in a long history of generations. And the British came there, they were 2 centuries maybe. They reintroduced this system, and this was fought against and won over. Freedom was won over.
So women equally treat. Okay, I think you're
if you-
confusing me a lot.
I'm
I
not
want to ask
confusing,
you.
I'm only
Explain me.
I'm only trying to prevail upon people to recast themselves on the status of scheduled caste in this country. Scheduled caste, even by the description on the census in 1911, you should go into Ambedkar's reading. All those who didn't attribute themselves to Brahminical rights and other things were counted separately. This is one of the things, the primary thing. Untouchability and all that, it's one of the factors that is evidencing poverty, education levels, maybe these discriminated practices, they were also taken into account. Poverty is not unique only to SCs.
So again, I'm getting back to that point because you are saying, if I may recall what you said, if I understand rightly, you say there is discrimination, contemporary also, in present situation also, there are discriminations which Dalits are facing. You don't call that as an untouchability.
No.
You call that as discrimination.
I would rather,
like any other discrimination.
I
which
would
happens.
rather look at it from this point of view. A discrimination is a common thing that may occur to anybody in this country.
So it is happening for Dalits.
It can occur even to a Brahmin. It can occur even to a Brahmin. People don't realize that more than SCs not allowed to walk into Sagraharam, Brahmins were not allowed to walk into my street.
Did they ever protest to walk on your street?
What?
Did they ever protest to walk on your street?
He didn't take it as a point of
No, why should they
discrimination.
walk? We didn't walk there voluntarily. There was something in their area. For example, access to the public roads were accessible through their area. Our area was secured there.
I was also walking.
So this is one
He
argument
was
which
also
even...
walking, this is one thing. Maybe somebody may say that somebody was not allowed into a particular temple.
So I think we are coming to the basic point. You have to explain to the viewers, what is, in your opinion, what is untouchability, what is discrimination, why this discrimination is not qualified as an untouchability.
See, this is where, all of us, when we started, we all get dragged into this kind of a dialogue that goes on. And a scheduled caste is somebody who is an untouchable. This is the only definition that is given everywhere. Nobody had gone into my past.
Yeah.
Nobody has presented my historical background. This is where I will say this Pallars and Parayars also, they are digging out the past history. The Pallars and the Pallars were not untouchables at any point. I wouldn't say Pallars en masse as such were undergoing this kind of a discrimination and untouchability in all spheres of life, all through the history. Maybe who in India was not an enslaved creature in the last 3 centuries? We were all slaves to a British regime. Do I call myself a slave? Do others call themselves a slave? A Brahmin, a Mudaliar, a Reddiya, Yeah, even a Palayapatikaran man,
Yeah.
even
But you have not,
they were all slaves.
we are going little far. So untouchability and discrimination
Scheduled caste,
defined from your
scheduled caste, I think this definition of bringing scheduled caste within the bracket of untouchability should be altogether eschewed.
Sir.
A scheduled caste, let us start the identity of a scheduled caste as one who is not part of the caste system. Therefore, whatever is happening to me currently in India, or a kind of assaults, aggressions, or pinpricks cast by the castemen on me who's refusing to get into this caste structure.
Sir,
So, viewed from this point of view, you will not inculcate in me any kind of a hollow in my conviction. Otherwise, every time somebody tells me that I'm untouchable, I'm such a poor creature, I'm a subjugated creature, then you are nagging into my psyche.
sir,
We are not doing any good to SC psyche. SC psyche becomes very strong when you tell him that he is such a valiant creature. And all these 2000 years he has been able to oppose the caste system and survive. I have not been defeated by this caste system. I have not been suppressed by this caste system. I have been surviving and surviving well too today.
Sir, I will, because I find this is one of the prominent argument which are kept in Tamil Nadu at the moment. One basic thing.
Untouchability as a practice, as a sanctioned practice was there.
So,
The rulers had their statutes on that.
so
The
statutes are
Devendarkulathar
there.
Samasthanam had imposed lots of these restrictions. They had the sanction of the politics of those days.
So even now, okay, the
You
point
don't have
is-
the sanction of the constitution now.
So, you know,
Nobody can practice untouchability.
Nobody can. Okay, sir.
Then why do you keep on telling
No.
me that I'm suffering untouchability?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just asking you to define because many.
I may be suffering discriminations, and more than discrimination, what is happening special to SCs is that all these things come to them from castemen only. Other discriminations, a woman getting discriminated gets discriminated by her own kith and kin. She can be discriminated by anybody, everybody. But what happens to, what is that you should distinguish is that whatever happens to SCs from a singular caste or a collective of castes is what you people say untouchability. I am saying they are the caste aggressions. This is caste aggression.
So there is caste aggression.
If we put this in this framework, then the kind of approaches to deal with them will entirely be on a different platform, where the SC, you can take the SCs together with them for the fight. But if you call me untouchable, subjugated creature, I am such a collapsed creature, I can't take this fight on my hand. Whereas all these 2000 years I am saying, I have taken this fight into my hands without a constitutional sanction. Constitutionally, I was barred from walking into certain streets. By kind of conventions and customs, I was barred from entering into some temples.
Even now.
No, there is no constitution, no customs.
No, not constitution. You think, okay.
There
sir.
is no law. So therefore, when
Indians follow
I am
law?
fighting these discriminations.
So, but tell me this one: do Indians follow law or the constitution on the ground? In villages, when not Kilvanmani, even that the panchayat, not the Melavalavu, Kiripatti, Papapatti, why the constitution was not implemented there.
Why do you say it was not implemented?
They were not allowed to contest there.
It was a period of interregnum.
Yeah, but
Then the panchayats came into being.
no, but there was a lot of struggle.
You don't take a feature of a period of interregnum and impose it as an everlasting.
No, I'm not saying everlasting.
Characteristic of that community.
So did everything change there after this?
So we will have to see these things that happen even now. 18 constituencies, assembly constituencies in Tamil Nadu, they didn't go through the election. Bypolls didn't take place. What do you say?
But
what do you attribute this to?
Sir, but caste caste is a historical figure. Caste is a historical.
Caste is
sociological.
Not only historical, it is
politics
also
is not
existing. It's a reality.
Yeah, so that
I'm
is different.
not part of the caste system.
No, but
you don't say that I suffer
sir,
because I am a lowly class.
Okay,
lowly
do you
class.
have agency in caste system? Do Dalits have agency to say, like when you say I am not part of the system, do you have agency? Like in a village, can a Dalit say that you cannot discriminate me, we follow the constitution? Does he have this right to say that? And can he survive that?
That's what I have been telling you. See, people tell us that for 2000 long years, this kind of a suppression is going on. Meaning thereby that I can never enjoy an autonomous living in this country at all.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
This is where the Pallas are now trying, and they have clearly pointed it out how socially they have been conducting themselves.
Yeah.
Every community, not only Pallar, if a Pallar community has a Kudumbar as a community leader, the Moopans are there for every community. Even the tribes have Moopans.
Yeah.
The Moopan is there to do a kind of an autonomous local regime. And he is also there to safeguard. If in 1996, in the southern states, the Pallas could overcome the assault of Thevas, it's all because of the solidarity expressed by their community leaders.
But also
even the Natames or these Kudumbas, they came together. They wouldn't even even the government force, a police force, could not enter their village. They kept them away.
Why?
And they settled the score with Thebas. Thereafter, after 1996, you can't hear of such a kind of the Tenava it doesn't take place there.
So, but I have a serious problem with this explanation. The problem is, this is the right thing. What you said about
you tell me if I have been subjugated and I am ruled by somebody else, you tell me how will you account for 8 lakh SCs in higher education today in Tamil Nadu law? How will you account for 40,000 BEs in Tamil Nadu law? A number which is much higher than any other singular community in Tamil Nadu.
Sir, same thing.
Somebody prevents me. You may say that in IIT I am not being allowed and all that. These things may happen.
So, but that is a fact.
I am not saying that I am enjoying a totally sovereign, free kind of a environment. My own people also are subject to lots of humiliations, subjected to lots of violence and all that. It's also side by side happening. But don't impose this as a kind of a common genre on me.
So I think you are imposing on us.
It's not a generic thing.
So you are imposing actually. This is one narration which you say. This is what you say about Pallas is fine.
Not Pallar alone.
No, Devendra. When Devendra asserted.
Pallar, Parayar, Arundhadiyar.
When did Arundhadiyar assert?
All these together.
Okay, sir. I mean to say Pallars were a historically different community than having a land and also having an independent source of income. Largely.
See,
but Arundhadiyars were dependent, right? Parayars also were dependent.
Dependent on whom?
Dependent on the caste Hindus in the villages.
Who says that? Who says that? Who says that? Can I say that Veramadiya Kattaboman, who is a Palayam, was dependent on somebody else. He was a Palayam for some Vamba Vadagas of the Telugu.
Okay,
All Jamins. Do you say that Jamins are the more, they say that they are dominant caste of people.
Okay, I think what you say is right.
Jamins are they're minions to the British people
Okay.
or their ruler.
I would
So
say
therefore, these communities, especially this Pallar community and Parer community, see, you have to, if you trace their past, they were not only farmers. They were not only farmers in the sense they were agricultural so-called laborers. They were not agricultural laborers as such. They had their own land to till. They had their own kind of a village set up to conduct themselves. They were not being they were
not controlled by the caste Hindus of the village.
Not at all.
But
Not
other
everywhere.
Dalits
Not
were
everywhere. Not everywhere. Not everywhere. It was happening elsewhere also. In that scenario, it was not only SCs who were being kind of conducted by somebody else. Every other subject fellow has to come under him only. A Jameen, an Ambalam, a kind of a Palayam, everywhere, everybody is subjected to him. Even his own Nayakas were under his thumb. Even amongst Nayakars also, they were tillers. He also had to give his share to the same community man, Veramadiya Kattaboman. Then you don't say that a Nayakar was subjugated by Veramadiya Kattaboman.
That is subjective.
This kind of a subjugation would have been there on all the subjects under him.
But that is a king's subject. Like Veerapandi Kattaboman, and there are subjects of his ruling.
The whole landmass
but the social is different also. That is.
The whole landmass in Tamil Nadu were under these chieftains.
Give me one example.
The chieftains.
Okay, chieftains, yeah.
And these communities, to that extent, whatever kind of a tax they have to pay to somebody, they would have paid. But it doesn't mean that they were all under his thumb for every other social respect. Somebody could not say that only I will come and conduct your marriages. It is my Kuduman, he conducted my marriages, as simple as that. That is the tradition I have. I wouldn't say that somebody can say that there is only the Brahmin who has to conduct my marriage. Where was the history of that kind? Even today I can marry without any Brahmin or Brahminical traditions. So this is where, in India, every community you have to approach with this duality.
Okay.
The dual situation prevails. I can speak little more concretely on this education aspect. See, all the while, people have been telling us that we SC, whether they are educationalists, whether they are economists, whether they are bureaucrats, or whether they are rulers, or whether they are even researchers. They have been telling me that the illiteracy rate of scheduled castes is higher. And they projected only this figure on me, kind of making me believe that I belong to some illiterate community. That's the kind of damage they've been doing all these 50, 60 years of independence. Why not? But all the while, you go back to the statistics, whatever is available, all the while, when my illiteracy rate was being quoted higher, the gross enrollment ratio of my own people was also higher than other community people in the general GER. What do you say? On the one hand, my GER, gross enrollment ratio, is higher than some other fellow. My illiteracy rate is also higher than some other fellow. So what do you call me? Am I an illiterate man or more educated man than the other? Both are true. I have my own illiterate people, but I also have my own erudite people, educated people. So therefore, don't call me as a genre, as a community of illiterates, denied education for centuries. That was not a fact. That is why even Ambedkar has tried to point out this only. You don't say that in the past I was denied education. It's absolute falsehood. Nowhere I could see that, first of all, in India, I don't know, at least in Tamil Nadu, I don't know what kind of educational institutions prevailed 200 years back. There were no higher education institutions, no colleges. All colleges, universities started only in 1857. And colleges as such, there were hardly 5-10 colleges in Tamil Nadu till 1900. Of course, now I have about 600 colleges. But who says that I was not permitted to study?
So, but this, if you can educate me, one is after introducing the government schools, primary schools, it's only after that access of Dalits and entering into the schools increased a lot. And only after 1990s.
That's not a proper study at all.
Okay.
You please go to any village in Tamil Nadu. Okay? More so in villages, both in the south and the north, where Christian missionaries have put up their schools.
Okay.
Not less than 70% of elementary schools in rural belts were put up by SCs or by the Christian missionaries in SC habitations. Christian missionaries may say that they were the ones who brought the schools. But then all that they did was, they only brought the management. The land, the building, the infrastructure, everything was contributed by the local AC people only. They still exist there. You can go and see, or you can study all the schools of the missionaries. Hardly about 5% of these schools got located in non-SC habitations. The exceptions are the higher institutions, high schools and colleges that they located in urban areas. There were very few. In those days the schools and colleges were very few. In Tamil Nadu you had Palayangote, 3-4 colleges, then you had to come to Madurai, then you had to come to Trichy, then you had to come to Belur, then you had to come to Chennai. Barring these 20 odd colleges, there was no education. Christian missions, higher educational institutions were not catering to SCs alone, we can say that. Because the neighborhood did not have so much of SCs there. The urban presence of SCs in Tamil Nadu is hardly 6%, 6 to 10%. I don't think in any urban agglomeration you have more than 10% SCs. Even in a city like Madurai, it will go down to hardly 6%. But then in rural locations where we had schools, I was the one who put up these schools. SCs were the one who put up these elementary schools. SCs were the ones who ran the schools. SCs were the only ones who would have gone to those schools. Who else would have gone into my school? Do you think an Agragaram lady would have come into my school? So more than any other community children, SC children would have had higher enrollment ratio, at least in elementary schools, till about independent 1947. Governments did not run educational institutions at all till 1950 or so. Especially elementary schools, they were taken over. The panchayats took over only later. Therefore, I am saying that even if you have to take the case of universities, in India we talk of only Nalanda, and Takshashila. So even if you go back to history, so we have evidences of 2 universities, one at Nalanda and one at Takshashila. They were run by.
Okay, then the point is, you said that Christian missionaries initiated schools, administered, but other things were run. But that is Tamil Nadu context. And that is north and
They
south.
should have been the context.
But how about the western part of Tamil Nadu? You said north and south.
Everywhere, western part. Wherever you had a school
But Christian
in rural areas, you people only look at schools in the town areas.
No, I'm talking about
high schools and high schools.
western part.
Whatever part of it. You are talking of Coimbatore, Tirupur, Erode and all
Yeah,
that.
because
And if you didn't have a school in an AC habitation, you wouldn't have had school anywhere in the surrounding.
so you mean to say if there were schools, they were admitted. There were no discrimination. But also you say
I'm going one step ahead and I'm saying that I was a educational entrepreneur.
That is in Tamil Nadu context.
Who started schools.
Yeah, in
I had
context.
a past history of so many schools put up by me. These were the schools, many of these schools were later taken over by the government as Panchayat Uni elementary schools.
Okay, these were in Tamil Nadu context.
If this was past, you can even come down to latest GR. Please go into the cross enrollment ratio data simultaneously with illiteracy data. In Tamil Nadu, from 1st standard to 12th standard, the gross enrollment ratio of SCs is on par with the overall GER. This is the current figure, and this is the same thing that is prevailing for the last about 40-50 years. Of course, I haven't seen the figures of the past, but I know of 2006 data. It remains the same. And in the current context, you go and check up who's more in engineering colleges today, because it was facilitated. Once you enable me, if there is an enabling proviso for me to enter colleges, my only enabling proviso is not my eligibility or my adaptation or my qualification. My only enabling proviso is monetary. If somebody is charging 1 lakh of rupee, even if I come state first, I won't be able to take the BE course. But when the government extends the post-matric scholarship, I am entering in such numbers, 4-fold increase since 2012. So therefore I am saying that this approach to the scheduled caste should not be only kind of the fixed or a tunnel vision of looking at them only as untouchables, always under the thumb of somebody else. They are still there. You can find micro level situations here, there, everywhere. But
you are talking in context to Tamil Nadu.
Everywhere. It should be the same everywhere.
But just yesterday,
everywhere.
But yesterday news. These were the reported news from in Gujarat. There was one Dalit who was going to write an exam. They abducted him and beat him black and blue.
Could have happened.
And said that you were not supposed to.
Could have happened.
Kailanji.
Could have happened.
So then, what are you intending actually? It's quite difficult.
What do you
said both the things.
You know what happened in Pollachi last few years?
Yeah.
So what do you make out of that?
That is a patriarchal society, how women are put in the society. That is a larger argument of women's empowerment has to be spoken, and how man's power has
so
to be.
So therefore, will you say that the women all over in Tamil Nadu and India, they are all going through the same kind of the pathetic conditions?
That is, we have to study. But I would say
they don't. Why not
women,
say that?
Me too.
Women are assertive in so many places. They have their own freedom. They enjoy their own independence. Women have also become the chief ministers and the prime minister of this country. They were ruling men. That is all. That's what I am saying.
So that is
don't look at a situation as just a singular thing. There is the duality. It is uniformly applicable to all communities, not just the SCs alone. Yeah, rich and poor. There is the poor fellows, rich fellows in Brahmins, in Chettiars, Mudaliars, Reddiars, everywhere. There are rich people and poor people in BJP, in Congress, in DMK, ADMK. It's not as if only Vidudhalai Chiruthigal and Pudhiya Tamilam will have poverty-stricken people. No. So similarly, the illiteracy rate, and then educated eruditions, they are there. We have to take the entirety of a situation and then analyze and then apply appropriate remedial things.